Jimmy Cab's Tape to Broadcast 5150 interview series in Bulldozer Magazine here tonight at the Fonda Theater with the one and only, the iconic Dave Vanian of The Damned. How are you?
Good evening, everybody. Hello. Good evening to you.
This really blows my mind here. Almost 40 years of The Damned?
Yeah, I know. I still have trouble getting my head around it, because it doesn't seem that long.
You got to excuse me because I know you've probably been asked this so many times throughout the decades. But how is it possible that The Damned's music not only was relevant in 1976, but it's 2015, still fueling the angst, the subversion, the rawness, the rock and roll of old fuckers like myself and 15, 16-year-olds that are out there?
Well, I guess we got it right, didn't
What an
we? That's the thing, We were either really lucky or really clever. I'm not sure which one.
This is something that really bothers me, though. Why is it that even though you are credited as being one of the pioneering bands, they always classify you as a punk act. I think you're a rock and roll act.
Yeah.
Always been versatile, always been so ahead of the grain artistically.
Yeah.
But why is it that you don't get the true recognition like, say, these other artists of that era?
I can't really answer that question, can I? Because if I could, we would have it. I don't know. It's funny you said about us not being a punk band, 'cause the first interview I did was this fanzine Sniffing Glue, and punk hadn't been coined then. And they said, what kind of band are you? And I thought the closest thing is we're a garage band, like the American garage bands of the 60s, like, the Shadows of Night, the Seeds, Strawberry Alarm Clock, all those kind of bands.
Wow.
MC5, because they're so varied in what they did. And plus we were rehearsing, not in a garage, but in an old warehouse, so there was lots of similarities. But punk probably was coined about a week later and everybody became a punk band. But what I was going to say is we were always on the outside a little anyway, viewed as outsiders, And I think some of it might have been because we had a sense of humour, funnily enough.
It's funny you say that. I agree with you on that.
Because we like to enjoy what we do and we have fun, but there was always some, there was political and social comment in the songs, but it wasn't forced down you. We weren't there to preach the politics, but just to maybe make you think a little bit. And by just doing what we did was political enough, I think.
Do you think that is the reason why The Damned has not only stayed relevant all these decades, but till this day, that music is timeless? Very few artists can achieve that.
I know, I think we've been very lucky. But there are bands that have done that, like some of those from the 60s that I was talking about. And I think those bands, like us, it's an enthusiasm for the actual music itself. And it means so much that I think that comes through, It's not, they know it's not manufactured in any way, and it's not, we don't lie about it. If we say, this is what it is, that is what it is. It isn't somebody saying, you've got to write this kind of song, no, you've got to write a political song.
Right.
If we want to write a political song, we write a political song. If we want to write a fun pop song, we do, because we love music, And I think that's probably what's ensured our longevity. And plus, we've had a melting pot of styles over the years because we have so many different personalities in the lineup. And it is, coin a phrase, a kind of democracy within the band that we all put our different ideas in. And that's what's nice about it.
Do you find your legacy intimidating when you're writing new material? Because The Damned has always been, quote unquote, not tagged. There's a lot of artists that they find success, they find that connection with their audience, and then they're forced to be in a corner. The Damned's never done that. You've always been sincere with your music.
We've taken risks. But also that has kind of worked against us in some ways. When we signed to Nitro, for instance, I think they thought they would get an album which would be a lot of punk songs similar to things they'd heard before. And when we did the album, they liked it, but they couldn't work out why so many songs were different from each other. And it seemed that they couldn't do anything because it was, this track's not like that track. So, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
versatile.
And and to me, that's what makes it interesting when a band does that. And obviously, not every band should do that. But I think we would have just been wrong if we just turned out countless copies of the last song. We wouldn't have liked it, and nobody else would have liked it. So occasionally, well, not occasionally, quite often, we've said a track, it's not so much we've said it, we start work on a track like Curtain Call, for instance. It started as a few minutes in my basement on a squeaky old harmonium I'd bought for £40. With an echo machine that didn't work, so it made funny noises. And then we added everything to it, and before we knew it, it became this 18-minute track, you know, for all this stuff in that we loved. And we knew that when we put it out, people would either absolutely hate it or love it, you know. And it could be the kiss of death, but we still put it, and we insisted that because why not, you know? I'd rather you challenge someone to listen than just, you know, kind of pander to someone's taste, if you know what I mean. I'm not frightened to do something where I know people won't like it, because that's how it is, you know.
Do you find that that's missing nowadays,
Yes.
the quote-unquote listenership? No one has patience anymore.
Well, no one has patience in anything.
No one's looking
anymore,
for
do they?
substance anymore.
No. Well, that's the sad thing is there's a lack of artists that will carry on as well. They're instantly big and then they vanish. You don't hear about them anymore, and they don't seem to develop into anything else. And it's a real shame, and I kind of worry where it's all going to go, you know.
Well, not only that, but at the same time, that is why bands like yourselves, by the way, which are very few, and that's why you're so cherished now, and I say that sincerely, is that here we are 40 years later, and you're still leading the pack with substance and weight.
I think it's kind of sad though that
when we go.
You know, I was going to say we're yeah. I mean, next year I'll be 60 and I'm leading the pack. It shouldn't be that way. There should be some upstart kids that I'm going, wow, this is fantastic, you know, coming up. But it doesn't seem to be happening.